1 p.m. this process begins. We're going to leaf blow all the loose debris off this mower. Hi there, folks. Welcome to another episode of Michael in the Backyard. Today we're going to cover my Hustler Fastrak mower and let's just say the 300-hour maintenance that I'm doing on it. Yes, this is now 6 years old, believe it or not. I just looked up the video when I did the hydro oil in the rear, and that was when it was 2 years old. And it's been, that was 4 years ago, and I did it at 125 hours. And according to the oil that I had put in there, you could go 400 or 500 plus hours. But I'm in a maintenance mood. And yes, it's not cheap. Everything you're going to see that I bought here from my local Mowers Plus mower dealer that sold me this Hustler originally 6 years ago, recommended that I use Opti oil, Opti 4. By using Opti oil, they allowed me 6 years engine warranty. Well, it could blow up any time now because the warranty's up. Ugh. But the cool part is this engine has performed flawlessly. The oil on the tube or on the dipstick is just barely discolored after 50 hours. The hydrostatic oil level here, this is full cold. Make sure I can get you in the shot here. Down at the bottom, doesn't seem like there's a lot of oil in it. As this thing gets hot, it fills up to about here. I'm going to show you in this video, we're going to change the hydrostatic oil. We're going to change the engine oil. We're going to change the air filter. We're going to take a close look at my blades, and we're most likely going to replace them, almost guaranteed. These blades have 300 hours on them and 6 years of mowing, and the way I mow, I use this mower like a bush hog, I use this mower like a mower, and I use it like a wood chipper. Yeah, that's why I'm glad I bought the industrial, they claimed it's industrial or next level below industrial grade, but the hydrostatic motors on the back of this are, in fact, industrial grade hydrostat motors. So, without further ado, let's jump into what we got here. So, first thing I did, as you saw, I blew all the dust and dirt off because we're going to take covers off, we're going to grease things, we're going to drain things, and we want it to be, let's just say, as debris-free as possible. Backed it up on ramps, I found is the easiest way to do what I'm getting ready to do next. I have also raised up the front end with my floor jack, and let's just say, craps and giggles, I put a level bubble on here so I can actually set this up level to do all the next steps. So let's get after and get underneath and show you how to drain the hydrostatic oil. All right, let's take a look at what we're going to use for the Hydro Gear oil change. I've got the Hustler Hydrostatic Transmission 20W50, wear protection, smooth control, responsive power, gear oil, or hydrostatic oil, 20W50. It says it takes a little over 2 quarts for each side, so here's a gallon plus a little over 2 quarts, including that, right? We've got 2 hydrostat oil filters by Hydro Gear, the same brand that is under it, so it matches. Good stuff. All right, let's just dive right on in here. First thing you want to do is take your 3/8 socket, back off these 3 cover bolts. Oh, there's a lot of debris under there. Same thing for the other side. Next, we're going to take the air hose and blow off all the stuff around the filter here. The nice thing about this design, look how clean that looks. Nice thing about this design is this is actually the drain. Change the filter and drain the oil at the same time. Quite a bit of oil coming out of there. It's going to be a little over 2 quarts. Well, that oil still looks like brand new. It's a testament to how good this oil really is. We'll get that one draining and then we'll do the other side. Now what you want to do once it's done draining is take your brand new filter, put some oil on it. Once you got the oil on it and your surfaces are all clean all the way around, I like to run my finger around the outside surface of the face just to make sure it's just clean and free of debris of any kind. And we'll start the filter on. This is a Hydro Gear commercial. And here, oil gasket, see? Tighten 3/4 to 1 turn after gasket contacts base. Don't do more than that. So let's just go. There it is. It's contacting base. Let's watch that arrow there. They got arrows. There's a 1/4 turn. Half. We're not going to quite get 3/4, but that is plenty tight. Now it's time to refill. Next step is to remove. We'll see if I can get my light on it for you. There's a plug right here. Got my fingertip right on it. I'm gonna put my wrench on it. I'm gonna take a rag and kind of wipe around it just to keep it clean as I can. Break this plug loose. What I'm using here is a 3/4. That's not what it's supposed to be. Make sure I get the right wrench here. It's an 11/16. I like to use my ratchet wrench because I can get in here nice and easy and back her off. And then we'll do the same on the other side. Now, with both plugs removed, what we're going to do is top off both reservoirs until it starts to come out that fill hole. So that's how we know that the hydrostatic gear box, the hydrostatic motor is full. And then once we get it full, we'll top off the reservoir. So go ahead at this time and remove. This particular model has 2 reservoirs because it has 2 motors. And we'll set these in a place to keep them clean and dry and debris free. Now's the time to find your cleanest funnel. And then we're going to add our oil a little bit at a time. It's going to go in there kind of slow. This is the slow part of the process. It goes in through there, drains down slowly. Like you can see here, I just had that full. And now it's already drained halfway. And we'll continue to do this back and forth between both reservoirs until oil starts to come out that plug hole we just removed underneath. Good news, I found a second funnel. All right, the cool part is I got oil coming out of both of them. It took that whole gallon, but oil came out of that top plug. I have now replaced that top plug. And now we want to fill them up to the bottom of the reservoir. And that low line is right down here. There. So that's full to the bottom of that line. It doesn't seem like it's very full, but that's all it takes. If you overfill it, that can be a problem. Then when it heats up, it has nowhere for the oil to expand and go, and it can blow your cap off, it can blow seals out, it can blow your oil filter. Just bad things can happen, is what I'm saying. All right, next step is very important. Don't forget to do it. We're going to remove our funnels. Careful not to touch anything else on this thing because it's all disgusting. We're going to put our caps back on. Put our caps back on. I did overfill that one just a skosh, but I think we'll be okay. Now, back underneath it. Thought we were done with all the underneath work? Not quite, but just about. You're going to see these two hydrostat bypasses. You're going to pull this out. It's going to have some spring load to it and move it over to the side. Do the same thing on both sides. Pull it out and move it to the outside. There's a notch there for it to catch on, and that'll hold the hydrostat so it bypasses. Then we're going to climb back on the mower because we're on a 3-point suspension situation here. We're covered pretty good. We can remove the level now. We're level, still level. Now what we're going to do is fire it up. And then we're going to cycle these handles forward and back. What we're doing is bleeding the system. I'm going to do this 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're going to undo what we just did here. Let those go forward. Now with the rear end up in the air, gently do it 7 more times. Now that was easy, wasn't it? So pretty simple to do. Doesn't take a lot of tools. If you're a backyard mechanic, you probably already have all the tools to do it. Now this engine in here is the Kawasaki FR691V. It's a 20 plus horsepower V-twin. It's been a good reliable engine. Talking to the guy at the dealer, I asked him, he's had a lot of experience and been around a lot of these engines. I said, how long can I expect this engine to last? He goes, well, with the opti oil and your regular service intervals and keeping your air filter clean and keeping the fins blown clean. He says, I've seen them go 20 or 2,000, 2,500 hours. I'm like, wow. So I mow about 2.5 hours average per week, about 50 hours per summer. That's why I have 300 hours on it after 6 years. The other cool part is, if that's true, even if it only goes twice that long, if it only goes or half that long, say it goes 1,200 hours, I got 4 times 6 is 24 more years that engine could potentially run me. So that's why it's worth taking care of, because this isn't an inexpensive rig. And I priced them when I was at the store. 6 years later, they're $2,000 more than they were when I bought this one new. So now that we've ran all the bled it, we've got to add oil back in here. So we're down below where we need to be. And the one that I overfilled slightly is actually perfect. So we'll just have to add a little bit to this guy. Right now I still have about 28 ounces of oil left in this 1 quart. So I'm not going to use a funnel now. I can hit this with this little guy. So yeah, I'm just going to bring it up to almost exactly where the other one is, just a hair above the cold mark. And this is one of those things I look at every single time before I mow. I check the cold mark height. And if I can see oil on that line, we're good to go. It means I don't have any leaks. Now, what you want to do at this point is get back under the mower, check for leaks, make sure your oil filter ain't leaking on either side, and make sure your plug that you put back in is not leaking on either side, because that can destroy your hydrostatic drive like that. Now, what we're going to do is clean the oil I spilled off right there. Yeeks. You want to put, once you've done all that, put your covers back on that cover those filters. I didn't cover that here, but I'm covering it now about the covers on the filters. We've covered that. All right, next, now that we've ran it a little while and we've drove it out here, we backed it up, we changed the hydrostatic oil, we are now going to change our engine oil. And we're going to go through that right now. Very simple on this one, very well, I'd call it well designed, easy to do. So this particular model has a little U-shaped hose right here. Just the cutest little thing ever. And it has a drain plug that you back out right here. So when you back this out, it just comes out and drains right out that hole. Doesn't get all over your frame. Kind of nice. I'd say use your 10mm socket, but we already know you've lost that. We'll just back this plug out until the oil runs out of this tube. Whilst that is draining, we can go ahead and remove our oil filter. Make sure your O-ring is still on your oil filter. You don't want to accidentally double stack that. Just like the oil filter that we just did on the transmission, we're just gonna put a little oil on it, tighten it up to the same specifications. It would appear all the oil is drained. We'll tighten up the drain screw. All right, once you got the oil plugged off, the oil filter on, top it off with your oil. In this particular case, we're using Opti 10W40. This looks just as good as the stuff I just dumped out. I like to put it like 1.5 quarts in, because I honestly don't remember exactly what it takes. They sell you 2 quarts because it takes more than 1 quart. That currently shows full. Let's fire it up and fill up that oil filter. While we're letting that settle down, let's go ahead and change our air filter. It's pretty dirty. A lot of grass around that joker. This here is an official Kawasaki air cleaner. I put all the OEM stuff on it because that seems to be the best. It's engineered for it. Why not run it? Comes with a pre-filter over the filter. Yep, it's right down to the bottom. Looks like it'll take the other half pretty easily. Don't forget to write your hours on the side of your machine. Some people put them on the filters for the gear. This is gear oil. I put it out here because, you know, I can't see underneath there on the filter and the filter's covered up. That's not hurting anything. Let's see where we're at. Full and beautiful. What's the current time? 6:01. So in the amount of time that's passed since we started this video, we've changed the hydrostatic oil in filters, we've changed the air filter, we've changed the oil and oil filter. One more thing I need to do, actually 2 more things I would like to do, is I want to grease the grease zerks that are on here, and then we're going to put new blades on it. Wait till you see these blades. And remember, when you put these washers back on, there is a crown to them. You want to put the crown like this down. These are called Belleville washers. What they do is they are like a lock washer. They're spring tension, so when you tighten them up, the spring tension keeps them from coming loose. Before I put the last one on, I want to show you a comparison. Here's my outside blade here. You can see how much I've sharpened this blade over the years. See how much of this blade's missing? It's fatigued and cracking, and it has flung stuff off of it. That does two things. It's not going to balance very well, and this gives you your lift. So if you notice your grass not mowing smooth and flat, your blades could be dull, and it could be broke like that, and you're not getting the lift. Or your deck could be just plain dirty. This deck is really clean underneath. I've never had any troubles with this deck staying clean. It's just, by design, it just stays clean. Wow, look at that one. Look at where the grass has wore the groove. This is starting to lose its edge out here too. This was dull, dull, dull. My goodness. They were overdue, no doubt. Well, I left the cotton pick and impact on the other side. Now, I'll tell you right now, you want to torque those to the proper torque. I'm not going to tell you what that is because I'll probably tell you wrong, and your mower could be slightly different than my mower. So look it up. Once again, 3/8 socket here. We'll pull this cover off. We're going to take a look at it. Let's drop it down to the ground. Ooh, here we go. Up in here. I can't do this. Too old. Let's see if that's enough. Get me off of his thing. Oh, so full of grass. So full of grass. Ooh-wee. Stealth Sonic time. Dun 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 dun. Stealth Sonic. Stealth Sonic, your mower for the future, by DeWalt. No. Ever done that? Get your hose plugged, and then you just reverse it. You just switch ends, and it cleans it right up. Bet two of you just learned something right there. That's why my audience is the smartest. They learn something. Well, folks, I did notice when I was cleaning up the mower deck there, good thing I did it, there's a big chunk of belt missing with just about that much holding it at the back. I'm going to go ahead and mow with it till it breaks because I need to mow. But I do know now that if it doesn't break, I need to get to the mower store tomorrow and pick up me a new belt so we can put on a new belt. But I can't complain. This thing has 300 hours on it, all original belts. What more could a fella ask for? All right. Well, we're going to do some time-lapse mowing here, and I hope you enjoy the footage. But we're going to see how much more smoother and better and awesomer these blades cut now. And the hydrostatic oil is going to be so much slicker. The oil is slicker. The filtering is filtering more. And I like to put my earbuds in, my hearing protection on, and I just listen to some good old music while I'm mowing. Plus, it protects my ears. Let's go mow. Well, I don't have my mic on. I'm just using the GoPro at the moment. But you remember how I said I wonder how long that belt will last because it has a notch in it? There it is, dangling underneath the tractor. She let go, but I got a whole lot of mowing done. I was literally 15 to 19 minutes from being done. So we'll be back when I got a belt. Got the 3/8 bit on the drill. As I showed you in the video there toward the end, the old belt broke. And it actually didn't break in two, believe it or not, but it did shred enough that it jumped the belt. I still had to, it was still in one circular piece, just not in real good shape. So what we're gonna do here is I drop the deck all the way down as low as it's gonna go. We'll back these back off again. Kind of nice that I cleaned it all out last night or yesterday before I did some mowing. Let's just see what we got here. Not a whole lot of grass back in there. As you can see, it's all loose. The nice thing is there is a belt diagram right there. It makes my life so much easier. Murky Merc, how you doing, buddy? Let go of my ego. It's pinched on something. What might it be? Oh. Like I had mentioned yesterday before I started mowing, after I put this back together, this belt actually had a chunk about that big missing out of it. And I thought to myself, how long will that last? And sure enough, and then when it came apart, it came apart. I actually cut it into two pieces. This was still connected. Not a lot left there. So we got this a new one. Now this one looks like it was actually had some other flaws. Here again, it's gone around the block a bunch of times. The new belt is one of these, looks a little more fibrous. This one looked like it might have been pretty fibrous too. And just from rubbing and running and rubbing, it just turned black. So let's see if we can thread this back in here. Now, when you're winding something around like this, it's just easy to remember that you need the backside around those. Whoa, those bearings sound dry. That one feels pretty good. That feels pretty good. That idler ain't too bad. Well, these two bearing towers sound pretty good. That one's pretty dry. So that's on the agenda next, because if you do not have, your bearings could lock up and take out your high dollar belt. You definitely don't want that happening. Yeah, over around here, and then back to the back. Well, this is the spring load here. Come up over this brace. Oh, there we go. She's in. Woo! Hooray, we're back in business. New belt installed. Alrighty, in conclusion, 300 hours, 6 years later on the Hustler mower, I'm pretty satisfied. Heck yeah, I am. That was we did the oil change on the hydrostat, we did the oil change on the engine, we replaced 3 blades, and the belt broke, but I also kind of anticipated it breaking after I cleaned up the deck and saw that gap in the belt. Nice thing is about taking that belt off, and that's kind of a, let's just call it foreshadowing. The universe is telling me something. But by spinning those pulleys around, there's one bad bearing tower, and it's on the outboard bearing. We'll do that in another video. But so now I know at least I don't have to worry about that one getting really loud, because it will get loud if I continue to use it. But it also could seize and tear my belt up, and who knows what else it might wreck. So we're going to get a bearing tower ordered for it, or maybe they already have one in stock, and I'll pick it up. And we'll get that replaced. And then we should be good. Everything's been looked at. It should be good for a while. So I really enjoyed having the Hustler mower. It's tough. It's durable. It runs like a champ. It still mows like a champ 6 years later. Can't say enough good things about it. Not sponsored by them by any stretch of the imagination, but I like to share this information with you guys. So if you're in the market and if you're looking for something to buy and you want something that has some durability, let's call it worth the money, because not all these zero turns you buy at these big box stores, at your Lowe's, your Menards, your Home Depots, they're not of the same caliber. Caliber. Because I bought a John Deere rider, and it's like, it wasn't a bad rider, but it ain't the same John Deere you get at the John Deere store. And just for a good example is the hydrostatic transmission on one of those at the Lowe's or places like that. It's a throwaway transmission. It's not serviceable. You can't even change the oil in it. This here, for instance, this type of, and the regular John Deeres and this John Deere, or this Hustler has a lot more fluid. You know, it's basically 4 quarts total, a little over 4 quarts in the hydrostat. My old John Deere 345 I had, that had a, what I call a real John Deere, had 7 quarts in there, I think it was, in the rear hydrostat, plus a screw-on filter as well. So those are designed to last. So let's just say you spend the money on something that costs a little more, it pays off in the long run because you're not spending it again 4 or 5 years later because the one you have is shot and not working. That was my case on the one John Deere I bought from a big box store. But then when I finally I paid more for the used John Deere 345, and it was way more durable and way more tough and had a lot more power. And it was a used one, a well-used one, I would call it. But and I sold it because once I got my zero turn, I didn't need it. Part of me wishes I would have kept it just for a little tow my sprayer around the yard vehicle and just towing trailer around the yard vehicle. But it is what it is. This is Michael saying, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. And we'll see you on the next video. And if I'm lucky, you'll get to see me. Yeah, if I'm lucky. You guys watch me. I appreciate everybody that watches so very much. Your comments, your thumbs up. You guys are fantastic. The people that like my channel and like watching what I do, it is much appreciated. Don't forget to visit me over on the boat channel if you haven't gone over there, if you want to see me do stuff on boats. I have a whole nother channel over there that's just mostly boat related. And we'll see ya. Be kind to one another, and we'll see ya on the next video. By the way, this is Michael saying, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. Be kind to one another. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you on the next video. I'm out.